Aloha, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience. We had a little bit of technical difficulties with the Wi-Fi, so we're starting about a few minutes late. And so those that can stay on, please do towards the end. I'm really happy to be here with nervous system health practitioner and environmental scientist, Heather Willis of Soil Made Simple. And we're going to have a great time today. So welcome, Primal Health Coaching Community. We've got, some people hopping on now. Welcome back, Emily and Francisco, Jennifer and Kim. It's really great to see everybody here. I'm seeing some familiar names and faces. And so as always, what we can do is a few places. You can write a question in the question box or direct in the chat. And so as we're in our conversation today with Heather, I'll get those questions answered, and she has a wonderful presentation to share with you. So Heather, I'd love to get started and ask you about you and how you got into this work. Welcome so much. Welcome.
Oh, thanks, Tara Ann. I'm saying hi to all of you virtually since I can't see your faces. I'm really grateful for you all to be here today and to take this time for yourself. My name's Heather, and just a really quick little background story to get you to understand how I came to be here today. My first career is in sustainability and urban and regional planning. And ever since I was a young punk in high school, I was really into environmental activism and saving the planet and all of this stuff. And it's a really big industry for getting burnout, like life or death scenarios, right? It's like, I must do this. And we really, it doesn't encourage somebody to put themselves first. There's no time for us. We got to take care of the planet, right? And I feel that's relatable for many industries, is that there's no time for the self. So that sort of happened to me, early years burnout. And then on top of that, when I was very young, I had a traumatic brain injury, and it completely changed the way that my life was. And I got to learn how to live all over again. And through that journey, I got really into, years later, nervous system health to help me in recovery, to help me not just live every single day, but really thrive every single day, and to get back into the community and back into sort of the life that I wish to lead. And so fast forward years later, I sort of transitioned into the environmental science aspect of supporting the planet, and really married that with nervous system health for my clients, because I truly believe in the interconnectedness of us in our community. So what I love to reflect to others is that personal health, when I'm really prioritizing my individual health, it automatically supports the environment and the community around me, automatically. The rest is just a happening. It's no longer a force. And that's just one of the best ways we can show up for the community, for those we love, our relationships, our work life, our neighbors, is by prioritizing our nervous system health. So that's a little bit about me.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing your background and also the vulnerability on what got you here. And, as a community of, superheroes that, many of us have had our own health challenges, and by slowing down and being with ourselves and finding ways to improve our health from the inside out, many of us like want to shout from the mountaintops and like share that message with the world. So how about we slow down and just talk about like, the foundations of like, what is nervous system health? And even for many in the health coaching sphere, let's slow down and like, let's talk about the nervous system.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious. I'm happy you brought this up as a first question. If for those that are in the coaching world, or even if you're just considering being in the coaching world, if you've heard of the term nervous system health and or are applying it already in your practice, I'm really curious. Maybe if like people could put it in the chat or something like that, because I think I can see the chat response. Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Teresa's raising her hand. Yes. Kim is saying
Yes.
yes, yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's become a really big buzzword. I think in the health and wellness industry last year, they predicted nervous system health specifically to be like a $4.5 billion segment of the wellness industry. So it's catching on, right? We're starting to understand the implications of a dysregulated nervous system and what that means in a multitude of different ways. I just love to say, because I think sometimes it stops people, so potential clients in their tracks, because nervous system health is a little nebulous. If this isn't your world, right? Like if you don't focus on personal health for others or yourself on and nervous system health, it can kind of be a daunting term. So let's see. Anika says, how is it a separate segment from health? Hold on to that. We will get to that and answer that hopefully. And then if not, of course, you can let me know, Anika, and I'll clarify. But
Yeah. And then there's also people in the chat that are saying that they haven't heard of the term
yeah,
before. So
yeah.
great.
And I love to just say, if you care about prioritizing your personal health from a physiological or physical level, prioritizing your nervous system health is foundational. It's absolutely foundational. And I actually, if I can share my screen really quickly,
Yeah.
I have some things to share with you all so that you can start to, let me share a portion, see some of the implications for nervous system health.
And while she's pulling that up, I just want to acknowledge Kimmy Baker has a question. She's saying it's very well timed. She's dealing with a health crisis that is requiring she practice mindful techniques, and she's having to take all of her own advice. She's glad to learn more. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. I'm so happy. Thank you for saying that. I'm so happy you listened to yourself to be here today. So, okay, I have a few things here. I already gave this away. This is my goal for today. And the first start is exactly what Tara Ann said, is to sort of get into what is nervous system health. But I really hope that at the end of the day today, you'll sort of have, if you are in a coaching practice already, this opens the door for how you can integrate nervous system health into your practice and also just offer agency in your personal health and wellness. So you asked what the nervous system is. From a very basic standpoint, it's a bundle of nerves and cells that run throughout our entire body. So if you can think of the galaxies, you know, the galaxies with all the stars and stardust all over the place, that's our body. That's a direct example of our body. It holds an entire galaxy inside of us of nerves and cells that allow us to do what we do every single day. I like to say that the nervous system is an intricate, like, you know, the Dr. Seuss books with all the highways on top of each other, like they're all over sideways next to each other. That's our nervous system. It's an intricate set of highways that allow us to communicate and disseminate information to certain parts of our bodies so that we can execute physical responses and also emotional and mental responses. So this is some basic examples. I love to say that in short, the nervous system, she runs the show. Okay, she absolutely runs the show. She's responsible for motor functioning. So just being able to pick up this cup and bring the straw to my lip. For sensory perception, you know, so to keep yourself from burning your hand on the stovetop. Cognitive functioning, so even for you to be able to intake the information I'm saying right now and make something out of it, that's in part because of your nervous system. Emotional regulation, so being able to process and feel our emotions. Immune response, so helping us not get sick. The nervous system is responsible for that. And then autonomic regulation, it's those are like the things on autopilot. So our heartbeat, keeping us alive. You don't really think about breathing every single day and blood pumping through our heart, but that is an autonomic regulation that allows us to live, right? Also, the nervous system helps with sleep. So it helps with proper functioning of the circadian rhythm. That's where I think a big thing is where we start to notice the dysregulation in the nervous system is when we can't really sleep very well, right? Having irregular sleep cycles. And then also stress response. That's the one that I love to carp on because it's so, I feel, just not talked about enough, is that a regulated nervous system allows us to stay in a calm state relatively most of the time, or it allows us to have a proper stress response when stresses are coming our way. So I don't anticipate all of us to be in a calm environment 100% of the time. It's just not going to happen. So where nervous system health comes into play is when we prioritize our nervous system health, we're able to be in stressful environments and not let it wipe out our day, week, month, or year. And that is the suki to me, with myself and with clients is I don't want stressful moments in life to give you underlying chronic anxiety. And then someday you wake up and you're not able to live life the way you wanted. It's so prevalent in this society. So that's where nervous system health comes into play.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate you slowing down and sharing
Yeah.
sharing that foundation. And then, will you tell us a little bit about how you like the growth of your business and how you apply it to your business? Just like, we've got a lot of health coaches or, soon to be health coaches. And, there's questions about like, how is it a separate segment from health, overall? What are your
Yeah. Yeah, I really think that if you're interested in doing holistic health with your clients, that nervous system health is a really great opener to be able to get to what I call root cause ailments. So I'm in the business with my practice of I'm a muscle testing practitioner, so I do nutrition response testing, which is just a method of kinesiology to be able to get to the root of the issues in our body, and nervous system health goes hand in hand with that. So I really like to say that health overall and nervous system health are synonyms. It's just learning as a coach or a practitioner, how to explain that to your clients, right? Because then we get down into like the more localized ways of treatment or recommendation. So it could be hormone health. It could be helping with your sleep cycles. It could be helping with perimenopause symptoms, chronic anxiety at work. Like you get into the nitty gritty of things, but the start of it really is nervous system health. And it could be as basic as understanding and explaining to your clients what dysregulation looks like. Maybe you prioritize, I'm trying to think what maybe someone can put in the chat what you prioritize in your coaching practice. And I could integrate nervous system health into that.
That's
Wait
like
for some. Put one in. Or if you're thinking of becoming a coach, what you would like to prioritize, like maybe you would like to prioritize women with thyroid dysfunction or something. Metabolic health. Okay. So you'd like to prioritize metabolic health. Nervous system health goes hand in hand, right? So we know that some of the largest comorbidities in the United States, I'll just speak for the United States, right? Like stroke, diabetes, heart disease, those are directly related to nervous system dysfunction and poor metabolic health. So you could work with your clients on improving metabolic health through nervous system regulation. Metabolic health really, really relies on a proper stress management protocol. That's where stress response comes into play. So that's just one example there of how to integrate it with perimenopause, fatigue, and burnout. April, those are like classic ones that we're managing. Yeah. So I think those are some of the most common symptoms, fatigue and burnout for women, especially those in their 30s and up. I'm not excluding anyone here, but it's just what I'm finding. Hormone balance is so key, especially in the perimenopause phase where your progesterone and your estrogen and your testosterone start to just go all over the place. Nervous system health is really great foundation because you can focus on nervous system pillars like movement, sleep, eat, stillness, self-awareness practices, those sorts of things to support perimenopause symptoms or just perimenopause in general, right? Let's see, Candace, also a lot of people into metabolic health and positive practices for people over 60. I talk about nervous system health all the time with my parents. And I'm learning how to speak their language because
Exactly.
I find that they don't care. I think that they don't care. Okay, that's what I'll say. On the outside, I think that they don't care. We're also raised in a world where it's like out of sight, out of mind, right? So neurodegenerative diseases actually start in our 30s. So for me, I'm 34 It's what I do right now is going to determine whether I develop Alzheimer's or not.
Right.
And that's what I love to talk about with my clients, is that what you do now for your nervous system health really helps prevent or determine what will happen with your metabolic health and your health in general in your 60s. Now, if you're in your 60s already, I love to tell my parents this: it's not too late. Like,
Yeah.
it's never too late until we die. It's never, ever too late. In terms of positive practices for people over 60, I really like to bring in proper stress management protocols. So I really got my mother into the 5-finger breath. It's where you take a deep breath in, deep breath out, a deep breath in, a deep breath out. This is easy for those that have no understanding of nervous system health or self-regulation techniques at all. I can have her whip out her hand and do this before her doctor's appointment or whatever moment stresses her out, right?
Oh, that's
I just gotta
beautiful.
make it easy. Yeah.
I
And
really
I love
love
to do
that.
this. Yeah.
Exactly. And, so the people that are on here also, it's like, people are experiencing burnout themselves, regardless of age. And would you be willing to talk about some more around like self-regulating nervous system, like when things get hectic, whether
Yeah.
somebody's growing their business or waiting in line, or just like you said, before the doctor's office?
Yes, absolutely. I saw Candace say it's harder to take advice from your children. 100%. That's why I referred my mother to an integrative doctor. And she said the same things I did, but she's listening to her. So
That's what
I'm
matters.
happy. I don't care. Like, it's all good. And I'm doing a PhD certificate now. That's awesome, Candace. Congratulations.
Right?
It's never too late. Let's see. So to get into your question about regulation techniques, I will share my screen
Gorgeous.
again.
Yeah, share your screen. You've got so much to share with us. Thank you.
Yeah, I will share. Let's get into self-regulation techniques. There's so many, and I really like to prioritize ones based off of the client's needs, or we can even say my needs, right? So if those of you are familiar with bottom up techniques or bottom up therapy and top down therapy, I think for a very long time, top down therapy, so coming at it from sort of a mental landscape, right? Talk therapy is one of the classic examples of a top down therapy modality. That's been really common. And I'd say in the last 5 or so years, the industry is really starting to see the benefit of bottom up therapy. That's where like somatic practices, moving your body, mindful walk therapy is really coming into play. And I'm really seeing with clients in chronic low levels of anxiety, they're in a functional state of freeze or fawning.
Mhm.
And med meditation when talking with me is not going to only not help regulate their nervous system, it's going to further put it in dysbiosis. And
Mm.
that's where really understanding what's most important for your client is really important. So I do wish to state that. But going in, I'll give some basic ones. And these, I love bottom up. That's why I love to say bottoms up. But this is my version of bottoms up is through these self-regulation practices. One is a sensory overload. It's or when you're experiencing sensory overload. So let's say someone's doing construction near your house, someone's screaming near you, right? I've got a loud helicopter going overhead. Our bodies were designed to be able to handle sensory environments. So if we're someone that says, I don't do well with loud sounds, short of specific chemical differences from a biological response, from a general sense, we were designed to be okay with loud sounds. It's a good sign, and it means that your body is probably dysregulated.
Mm.
So when you have sensory overload, I like to do time blocks for I call self-reg moments. So if let's say I'm in a work environment that's highly sensory, I'll block out 10 minutes 3 times a day to just go away, to go for a walk and not be near my phone. I like to say time block because like it'll force you to do it.
Right.
Do whatever it takes to force you to do it. Another large thing with being out of regulation, so being dysregulated, is when we have over rumination of thoughts, Raise your hand if you love to ruminate. The mind goes,
Yeah.
right? Thousands of thoughts a minute. That's where the 5-finger breath comes in, because from a physiological standpoint, it allows our brain to shut off and just focus on the breath and the present moment and the sensations we're experiencing. So I really like that one. Let's say you may be prone to environmental exposures. So maybe you're having, it's allergy season, and you're experiencing some allergies, or you have a work environment where you are exposed to chemicals frequently. Maybe you clean houses and you've got to play with chemicals all the time. Environmental exposures can even just be us commuting on the highway, right? We're all exposed to environmental toxins. I really love to prescribe mindful walks in nature. Yes, this even means if you live in the city. Mindful walks in nature are like it's a easy, free, accessible for most people way form of therapy to immediately ground and be able to have a shot at self-regulating. I always love to just recommend mindful walks mean mindful. So like your phone's off or not with you.
Yeah.
And if you're with someone, you both agree to not shoot the shit and to be in silence next to each other. And to truly mindful walk for at least 10 minutes, wherever you are. It can be in your backyard. It can even be in a neighborhood. It doesn't have to be a fully green space. That one's my most favorite thing. I even love offering mindful group walks with my community where I live. And then when you need a moment to recalibrate, right? So I don't know if any of you reach this point. Something someone says is like, that's it. Like the straw that broke my back, the camel's back. You know, you've been there. Yeah.
Yesterday.
Right. Yeah, this is a daily thing. The recalibrating is a daily thing. I have daily recalibration practices, and this one's super easy. By the way, recalibrating, that's when your body needs it now. Like it needs help immediately before you go into overload. And so I don't know if you all did this when you were kids. I don't think my parents knew that was a recalibration exercise, but you're gonna contract every muscle in your body. They told me to do this before sleep if I couldn't go to sleep. Everything. You're like squeezing from your wrists to the bottom, like all of the parts of you. Yeah, to your perineum. Yeah. You can do that for 20 seconds and then release. The release is important. I want you to sit in that for 40 seconds, experience it. You can do that 3 times. This is only like a 3-minute practice. Yeah. And that's a guaranteed easy way to access our biological underpinnings. It's an easy way to reset our nervous system quickly is by doing a muscle contraction exercise.
I really love that. And I like the 3 times and holding it for 20 seconds so you can get everything. This is something I practice in like yoga nidra or
Yeah.
my asana practice right before shavasana, doing a slowed part with all the muscle groups. But I love to hear what you say around it's a guaranteed way to just reset the entire nervous system.
It's a good one, right? Because you can do it so quick too. You can almost do that one when nobody's watching.
Right.
I like to give practices that are stealthy too, because sometimes we're with family and friends and we don't wish to show people that we're dysregulated, right? And that's cool. That's fair. So that's another way that you can do that. And the last one, is when our virtual environment is racked. I think that's for most of us. I spend so much time on my computer. So when we've got a large part of our time virtual on my phone, scrolling, whatever, I really like to reset my motor ocular system through near far focus exercises and pencil push-ups. And I'll show you the pencil push-up is so fun. So you've got a pencil. If
Okay.
anyone has a pencil, if you don't have one, your thumb is great. Yeah, you can use your thumb. Yeah, so we'll let Tara Ann be the thumb practice and I'll pretend like I have a pencil, but it's this bright ass pen. So you're going to take your thumb, Tara Ann, and you're going to have your fingernail facing your nose, the bridge of your nose. Perfect. And so what I like to do with pencil push-ups, I try to do it once every workday when I know I'm on my computer. I try to take a break somewhere in between with this to help with vision strain, because vision strain directly impacts our bodily balance, which automatically, when our body's off balance, most of us it is, you start to see dysbiosis. Maybe it's hip pain, chronic mucus, thyroid disorder, like all of that is definitely correlated to body balance. So this helps with that. So you're gonna take your thumb or your pencil and you're gonna take it as close as you can. Your eyes will go cross-eyed. You're gonna stare at that thumb or pencil and slowly draw it out until your arm is fully extended. And you're gonna keep your eye on the prize here, your pencil or your thumb, and you're gonna draw it back. It's perfect. This is perfect. And you're going to do that 10 times. You don't have to do it 10 times right now, but you'll immediately, maybe Tara, and even doing this, this is another way to reset your nervous system in 90 seconds. Do a forward fold before you do your pencil push-up. See how your body feels, how far you can fold. Then do a forward fold after. And you will be amazed at how different your body feels after. It immediately calms down for most.
Oh, the crowd's loving it.
Oh, I'm so happy. Oh yeah, and Francisco said, yeah, I love Shinrin Yoko. I was trying to do a forest bathing retreat here actually with a therapist. It's forest bathing is great. I'm just getting started at 80. Barbara, we
We've
love
got quite
this.
a crowd here. We've got a 68, an 80, a 72. Like, I love it.
Love this. Yeah. Okay. What else? What else we want to talk about with everybody?
Well, how about this, like implementing root cause solutions, such as the reducing toxin exposure and then also building self-awareness.
Yeah. I love both of those things. So my background in terms of sustainability is segmented into what's called toxicology. So I'm a geeky toxins expert. So I love to say, like, I like to help businesses clean up their dirty nasties. And I'm also in the business of helping individuals clean up their dirty nasties. So I do what's called with my clients, household toxin tours. And we go through your household, and we identify potential toxins that you can avoid by removing and replacing, right? And it's a sliding scale because reducing environmental exposures, I believe, is not accessible to everyone. It's definitely, there's a bias for that. So I love to try to meet people where they're at, right? So not everyone is going to be able to have access to buying a new air filter that's $1,200. For their household. But a really more affordable solution to having clean air in your household is getting a box fan and a simple HEPA filter at Home Depot, and it'll cost you maybe $40. So it's all about meeting yourself where you're at and not stressing about the stuff that you can't do, because I love to do that. I really would like impact my nervous system health because I'd stress out over all the stuff that I wasn't doing. And I feel that's relatable.
I can totally relate to that. I used to live on the Big Island. We had, lots of land and we were growing our own food. And when I experienced my own version of burnout and my nervous system, began to have grand mal seizures. Like it was like, get
That's
on
right.
out of here. And, I now look back on it as, like as if it were a blessing, because a year later, the lava flow came and it took the home that I used to live in. So now I see it as if I were like spared that additional stress. But when I moved over here to Oahu, the big city, I found myself a little bit overwhelmed with the sounds and the things that were out of my control. So I appreciate what you're saying around like meeting ourselves and our clients, where they are. And this, when you talk about getting rid of the dirty nasties, like this, how this is relatable to those that are in the primal health coaching community. Like in the program, we talk about pantry purges, and we go in and help people to clear out their pantry of the toxins and the
Mm-hmm,
chemicals, just,
mm-hmm,
up the guts. And
mm-hmm.
so it's like the same thing on another level. So it's exciting.
Absolutely. I thank you for your examples. It's also, I hear in your story of like your body sort of listening. And
Yeah.
um, there's this theory of sometimes our body knows before our brain can catch up. Um, there's this amazing study where they put a bunch of people in the room and they just started flicking cards on the tables and they were teaching them a game, right? But they didn't tell them what it was. And pretty soon, like 90 seconds in, the first person like was responding according to the rules of the game, but they didn't know. They didn't know. Their body was the first to understand. And only like 5 minutes later did their brain catch up. And we do this every day. Our body knows, our body keeps score, right? And then our brain eventually catches up. But Lisa, you're talking about all the plastics. I'm right there with you. You know, a recovering environmentalist. Life or death. It was life or death for me. And I'm in the business of making sure for you and your clients, it's no longer life or death. It's just a noticing. And when we end the suffering, we end the ailments. And so, yeah, plastic is everywhere. I mean, obviously don't microwave your food because 5 seconds of microwaving your food in plastic can release at least 2 billion nanoparticles. But I could talk about plastics forever. But the whole point I wanted to say when I saw your comment, Lisa, is do what you can to not stress. We could have two individuals having the same exact environmental exposures. We'll remove their biological indicators. Let's just say they're the same. Two people exposed to the same environmental exposures, and one person's reeked with stress over it, and one person is like, I'll give a crap. And I guarantee you, their actual biological response are going to be night and day. Stress wreaks havoc on our body more than anything. So that's why I really prioritize stress management protocols with clients, because oftentimes that's the root cause, is the low level anxiety being supported by the stress. I just had a client do a pantry purge, seed oils. Yes, everything has seed oils. But really with the pantry purges and all this stuff, I'm going to keep saying it. Focus with your clients on not stressing. Because if you have those clients, maybe you have these, because I used to be this client with my practitioner, where you care about every single little detail, that is a large indicator that you need to focus on stress management with them over seed oils. Guaranteed. Seed oils are not important compared to stress management. So that's just something to keep in mind. I want to get back to your question, Tara, and you were saying, like, let's talk about environmental exposures and then self-awareness practices. So I'll share my screen again.
Please.
And I'll get into some, I like to call them the big five. So it's the big five plus one. Okay. The big five are toxins to avoid in our household. I'll get to the plus one in a second. I've already been carped. But the big five I've identified in my work and seeing with clients is toxins in what we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, the things we cook and consume our food off of, right? So from pots and pans to the Tetra Pak that holds our soup in the grocery aisle, and what we wear. Those are the five big things I focus on with my clients and myself. And the plus one, anyone want to take a guess? I've been like carping on it for the last 5 minutes. Yeah. Hey, Boo. Hey, Michaela. Yeah, it's stress. It's getting a solid stress management protocol. And that's where self-awareness practices come into play. So I could talk about reducing toxins exposure all day, but self-awareness practices are really the sookie for me, because when I notice that my self-awareness is a little stronger and the practices that I have in place to cultivate a sense of self-awareness, I notice my stress levels go down and things don't bug me as much. And then naturally, I notice a lot of my symptoms of dysbiosis slough off. So for me, I'll give a personal example. I've had gut health issues ever since I was a kid. And so that's been a fun thing. Yeah, I think a lot of us has followed through. Severe bloating. I used to have SIBO, all of this stuff.
Mhm.
And so I notice a classic sign for me when I'm dysregulated is that when I eat, I get bloated. When my self-awareness practices are really on point, I just notice I wasn't trying to end the bloating. It just happened. I would eat what I wanted, not stress out over it, and the bloating would not be a problem. That was just a consequence of nervous system dysregulation, right? So if I focus on the root cause, the rest of it kind of takes care of itself.
I'd like
Um,
to share an insight around that because I agree, and when I first came into the primal health community and like many of the people here, it's like we want to clear it out and get all, remove all of the toxins, whether it's the seed oils or the inorganic foods. And the reality, though, that I've experienced around growing my coaching practice and just like you were saying, meeting people where they are, if, meeting myself and then also meeting the people that I'm working with where they are, because if I'm harping on them about, a process that they're in around cleaning up their diet, if I'm adding more stress to their experience, it's not helping. It's not
no,
help at all. Whereas if I'm acknowledging, meeting them where they are, oftentimes it's like, how can we get some more water in first thing in the morning?
yes,
That was a big shift. When I first started this coaching practice, I was like, I'm gonna change the world. And it's like, I'm gonna learn to meet people where they are and help them to self-regulate so that they can begin to have an awareness and then a willingness to take their bold next step. And I had to experience that for myself too. So now, back when I had the retreat center and everything was so perfect, but I was a malnourished vegan and I wasn't getting enough food to my brain, my nervous system that it was needing. And now that I'm coming upon nearly 4 years seizure free, I'm eating more foods than I have in the last couple decades, that before would have had me like keeled over and bloated. And I still have this knowledge and awareness and exactly what you're saying. There's like, what the stress response, the worry about it is, it's just even more impactful. And I think there's even like a statistic out now that says like 90% of all disease is like flared by the stress around it or by stress in our lives. So if we can, I just want to, you know, say thank you, because if we can really, work on how we're being with ourselves with the issue, that's really the issue, you know.
that's just it. I love to do this where I turn things around. Like I'm so mad at this thing in the world. It's really something to look inward with. And I really am happy you brought up the meet people where they're at, because I do wish to give an example of that. Innocently, so many of us, I will even put myself in this boat, is that we find ourselves further harming our clients and ourselves and those around us with this mentality of like, gotta change it all immediately, everything. I was so in that boat with myself for a while, and really understanding how to meet your clients where they're at starts first of all with understanding how to meet yourself where you're at. At least that's what I found in my life to be the case. And I have an example. So I was co-facilitating a group program, and there was this new mother that was asking some questions. We were talking about embodiment, and then also sustainability. And she was like, look, I always order food out. I always order the groceries and have Whole Foods deliver it to me. And I know it's not the most sustainable thing to do. And I'm not cooking as much as I wanted to, but I just don't have the energy. What do I do?
Mhm.
Now, the environmental asshole in me was like, just change it. Just change it, bitch. Just go start cooking again. That's not meeting her where she's at. That's not meeting her where she's at. And that further puts more stress on herself, because then all these feelings of like, I'm not enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not a good enough mother comes into play. So what we found out to be the root cause was, A, why do you feel so guilty for ordering stuff from Whole Foods a lot? And what's one thing you can do to get you one step away, like further away from the habit that you've created now? And for her, that ended up being excitedly, she was like, I'm going to try to cook one whole meal a week again. And she was stoked about it. And it catapulted her. So I just use that example for you to think about in your life and with your clients of meeting them where they're at. There were a couple of things. Gwendolyn, you said, so you shouldn't use plastic in microwave at all. I just wish to answer that. I do not recommend it. I do not. There's already many studies out there. Like I said, 5 seconds of microwaving releases, at least they show 2 million nanoparticles directly into the foods that you're eating. So on the exterior surface that it's touching. I don't recommend microwaves at all. I mean, there's a reason we say just nuke it real quick with microwaves. I do also acknowledge, in terms of accessibility, that might not be doable for some of your clients and for some people in life. Sometimes I'll say when I travel and I'm in the field, I don't have another option. So I either can eat cold food, which is the majority of the time, and a few times I may use the microwave. The key is to not stress about it, or else I won't be able to even get the benefit of the food I'm eating. But overall, when possible, I'd recommend, like, I don't have a microwave in my house. I immediately take them out. That's a personal decision though. And then another person said, what are some of the ways you encouraged accountability for your clients for themselves once you are not in the water with them?
Well, that one, it reminds me of what you were just talking about. What is that one step you'd be willing to,
Yeah,
and it sparks that willingness from within. And then, I like in my practice, I reference like what's 2% more you'd be willing to do and do that
yeah.
and then how that like builds upon itself.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of tracking.
Yeah.
Unless someone has specific triggers and trauma around tracking. So for those that have previous disordered eatings or OD, I don't recommend them tracking their food. But for most people, I recommend tracking your lifestyle habits every day, every moment, whenever you can for a week. 1 week is all it takes. Sometimes it can be overwhelming for clients. So I say 1 week. That really helps with accountability because then they can physically see what their lifestyle choices are and where they have agency to make a change. I have them physically circle on that piece of paper the things they can change that they will change from now until the next time we meet. Another thing for accountability is like Tara Ann and I were talking about is to pick one thing that you can do. And also it's called habit stacking as an easy thing. So let's say someone has a goal of, I don't know, being stronger or losing 5 pounds or whatever it is. Sometimes saying that you'll jog every day for a week to improve your lung health is not doable. So I do what's called habit stacking. I encourage them every day after you take a poop, put on your tennis shoes
Exactly.
and open your door. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. That's all you need to do is put on your tennis shoes and open the front door. And then almost always they're going to go outside and they're going to go for a jog. So that's another thing. What are suggestions for building stress management into our daily activities? It's sometimes hard for people. 100%. That's why I'm a big fan, Terrence, of time blocking. So I will block on my work calendar so nobody can bug me. This is where the recording your lifestyle for 1 week comes into play, because if you're like me, sometimes putting things in your calendar doesn't mean you'll do it, because we've gotten in a habit of living life a certain way. So let's say you have a new habit to do the 5-finger breath every day, twice a day. So let's say you have a goal to do 5-finger breath twice a day when you just feel like doing it. You're not even putting a time block on it. You're going to record what you do every week or every day for a week, right? So after the end of 1 week, you notice that you didn't do 5-finger breath Monday through Friday. That might be a good indicator that you need to physically put it in your time block, or do it when you first wake up and when you're first going to bed at night. Modify it to make it accessible to you. So work with your clients on finding the easiest way in for stress management protocols. I also have, just to be clear, I'm pretty blunt with the clients I'll take on, and they acknowledge and sign consent that they will show up. So it's important to talk with your clients about saying, like, you need to show up and do the work, because I'm just a guide here. So that's one thing to talk about with your clients, even with yourself, is removing the blocks first to keep you from being motivated to do things, right? That could be the first step. So maybe the first step for access for your clients to have a stress management protocol would be to fix their dehydration, like Terry Ann was saying, and would be to prioritize your water intake every day. So it would be like that, working with your clients to figure out where the blocks are that are keeping them from even being able to self-regulate.
And I'd like to acknowledge an insight. What I hear you saying is like, when you're talking about habit stacking and even tracking, to the community, what I note is that Heather is saying, like, utilize it for information, not to like weaponize it against ourselves. It's like for information and then adjustments. Oh, I didn't do it this last week, Monday through Friday. It's like, how might we look at that with some self-awareness of neutrality, as opposed to like shaming ourselves and like, oh, I did it again, which just kind of like furthers down that, like, that stress spiral, and then seeing it either as a game or as an experiment, and creating adjustments. Because what I've seen to have success, not only in myself, but in the people that I'm working with too, it's, small things done consistently over time make massive progress. And so it's that self-awareness piece. I can't say enough about it. And through the habit stacking and this experimentation, it's all like building systems for our life. And the systems are never wrong. They're perfect for what they're creating. And if we're noticing at the end of a week that we're stressed and burnt out, well, the system of the week is a perfect system to give us stress and burnout by the end of the week. How might we
Totally.
again, the next day or the next moment, and experiment in a different way? What else would I be willing to do?
And that's a really good point, because I like to say the 1 week is an experiment. That's creating a baseline with our clients and ourselves to understand where we are now without shame or judgment, and how we can get to where we say we wish to be. And so with that 1 week, it's a self-awareness practice. I know we didn't talk a lot about self-awareness practices. I really talk with my clients about how to utilize that tracking for the first week, and the thing or things you're gonna do, new things, like 5-finger breath, meditation, whatever, is as a self-awareness practice. So you're gonna jot down the emotions you feel before you do the 5-finger breath. You're going to jot down how you feel at the end of the day when you realized you didn't do it. You're going to jot down all these things. We are just being the observer. We're just in the practice and the business of being the observer of our own lives without judgment. And that really helps increase our self-awareness. By the end of 1 week, I talk with my clients and go over what sort of feelings and emotions they had and how they were processing it, because that's a key part of it too, right? Back to managing our stress, it's being able to get comfortable with our thoughts, and the rumination that goes with it. So that's a really big piece.
I want to acknowledge the time. If anybody needs to go, we
Yeah,
are
yeah.
staying on a handful of more minutes, about like 7 more minutes, because we did start late, but this is a juicy conversation. I'm so happy to have you here, Heather, with us. And Jennifer,
Thanks.
she was struggling to get into meditating. It felt awkward and weird, so she started meditating in the sauna, and she loves the sauna. So now she likes meditation too. They go together for her. And again, it's an example of habit stacking. And soon she's going to start meditating for other times.
See, yeah, Jennifer, that's a really good example of meeting yourself where you're at. I think a good sign of those that think like really awkward with meditation also is a good sign that you need to move your body. and have more of a body practice. And it sounds like you were listening to your body in that sense to do the sauna, but that's great. Maybe we use the rest of this time for questions if
By
you feel
all,
like it. Yeah.
by all means, what kind of questions do you have, community? We still have 18 people here with us, and this is a special day. Teresa has a question to ask. Go right ahead, Teresa. Oh, April's asking, do you use cold water for nervous system health?
I think maybe what you're asking, April, is like cold therapy, cold water therapy. Maybe that's what you're talking about with cold plunges. I sometimes recommend it. I can be a little controversial with what I recommend with my clients. I have a story specifically with women that cold and hot water therapy are really detrimental to nervous system health because when you're already working with a dysregulated nervous system, that means that you're probably already working with an immunocompromised system, and adding further shock through extreme heat or extreme cold can make it will make it harder in your immune system to come back, to bounce back. So what I find a lot of times with women that have chronic ailments, hypothyroidism and things like that, or even perimenopause, they're further immunosuppressing themselves with contrast therapy that works really well for men.
Yeah.
Also for a body that goes through its hormonal circle in one day versus an entire 30 plus days. I'm not saying that contrast therapy is bad. I'm saying it's really important to understand if it's good for your client at their state of health or bad. Because back to the other things we were talking about, you could be further harming your client's nervous system health with a recommendation of like a general recommendation. So this general idea that contrast therapy is good, I think that's a big hype right now. Is an incorrect messaging. It can be really, really great when applied in the proper scenarios. So like I don't recommend it for women when they're on their cycle. Don't recommend it then. But it can be really, really great. And this is where the body listens too, right? So if it's really, really hard for you to warm back up after cold plunging, that's a sign that your body is struggling to raise its body temperature and it's immunosuppressed. So that's a good sign to not do it. But if you're cold plunging and you feel normal again in 5 to 10 minutes, that's a great sign that it may be supporting you. So
Yeah, it sounds like it is helping her.
that's great. If it's helping you, that's freaking awesome. Keep doing it. I just get nervous with that nervous system with
And that was
clients
for
because
me
it
when
is
I
a
was,
fad.
pardon me. Yeah, it is quite a fad right now. And back when I was, healing from the seizures, I had to stop all sweat lodges and cold plunges because it was just too extreme for what I, later learned was like in a compromised immune system.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where back to basics come in, right? Is if we if we aren't working on the pillars for nervous system health, so proper sleep, proper movement, what we're eating, a stress management protocol, so that will prong onto self-awareness practices and getting good at being still. If we're not working on those pillars, these biohack things, like contrast therapy and stuff, like focus on the low-hanging fruit with your client first, and yourself. I highly recommend.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Francisco has mentioned a couple times around, the far infrared saunas. And what are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Again, a contrast therapy is great. I'm a big fan of far infrared saunas. It's a really great way to help with your lymphatic system. Um, there's other caveats too where I think people think like getting in the sauna will just help with removing your toxins and helping with lymphatic drainage. And there's a couple blocks before that that can prevent that from happening. You know those like models at the doctor's office, the kid toys where you put like a ball in it and it goes around to the
Mm.
bottom. I try to explain that as an example for lymphatic drainage is that we keep putting more and more things in, right? So like the toxins from highway air from the roads, the PFAS in our nonstick pan, the rayon we wear in our clothes, the stress we allow ourselves, I'm being clear with my words here, the stress we allow ourselves to absorb from our rude aunt at dinner. All these things keep clogging our lymphatic pathway, and so infrared sauna is not the solution to flush it out. It helps, but the source of how much is incoming is really, really critical. And making sure that our pathway itself is clear. So I use a lot of certain different modalities with that. That's where bottom-up practices come up as well. All that to say, I love infrared saunas. If you have access to it, which I don't, again, in my finding, it's not super accessible to most people. I would say a great substitute is to have access to early morning sunlight. It doesn't have to be direct sunlight. It just means getting outside in the morning before 11-ish for at least 15 minutes a day, and sitting in the sun when you can and encouraging sweating. So that's what saunas are great for, is right. It's helping us sweat. So
That's great. I agree. And yeah, keeping those exit pathways open,
yeah,
from the
yeah,
bottom up.
yeah. Um,
And we do have a bunch of, growing business practitioners. I mean, this is an entrepreneurial world. And Teresa's asking, what's your 2-minute elevator pitch for your coaching practice to potential clients?
sure, sure. I'll transition into that. My 2-minute elevator pitch is this, most times I'm already speaking to an audience that cares about their nervous system health. And so they're naturally inclined to hear what I have to say. I think the biggest thing for your clients would be if you have whatever, learn what their goals are.
Yeah.
So for me, I found that for my clients, if they seek to have a more joy-infused, joy-centered life with stronger relationships, deeper connection, a better sense of balance and less staticness throughout the day, with less physical ailments, whatever those may be, then working with me or prioritizing nervous system health is for you. If you're ready to get straight to the root cause, the nitty gritty, and do the work, so that you can actually play in the goals you have in life, this is the work for you. And my sense is, back with the body keeps the score, that you all sitting here today, you're here for a reason. You signed up for this for a reason, right? So you already are naturally inclined. Your curiosity is piqued, and you're already naturally inclined to want to do the work. So I mean, I honor you all for that. There's 2 ways to further your whatever it was, whether it was to gain agency in your personal health and wellness, or to be able to further support your existing clients, nervous system health, or you're just interested in learning more and you're thinking of starting a coaching practice. I have this online course called Stress Made Simple. It's so great. I made it a bit ago. It's got like over 40 lessons on all. I took my life's work is in this course. And if anybody's interested, I'll show you a preview of it, but you just go here and it will take you to the sales page and you can preview the course. But it talks about the underpinnings of why we're dysregulated. I prioritize the pillars of nervous system health. We address the blocks keeping us from balance, right? So for me, that would be stress, overwhelm, anxiety, trauma, lack of social connection, and environment exposures. Every single lesson, almost every single lesson, has a worksheet for you to go through. It's really great, whether you wish to utilize this information for your personal practice or for yourself. And again, I'm in the business of increasing accessibility to personal health and agency over our lives. So I have this code here to give you coaches a 25% discount because I just wish this should be more, I wish for this to be accessible in the world.
Well,
So there's this. Oh, go ahead.
this is so fantastic. Thank you so much for being of service and showing up and being generous with your wisdom and your mastery, and as, the Primal Health coaching community, whether there are people here that are thinking about joining Primal Health or want to sign up for the all access path, because what I'm envisioning is that Heather builds a nervous system course even within Primal Health, and that we can support one another in sharing the joy of nervous system health. So thank you so much, Heather, for being our guest today. And we're getting lots of thank you so much. April's saying she's not able to scan the code. How are they able
Interesting.
to?
I tried it before. I mean, I tried it on phones and it's let me try it on my phone right now. I tried it earlier today. It could just maybe be a reset thing. It seems to be working for me. So my suggestion would be to take a picture of this, whoever is having issues, and try to scan it on a different phone. Some people say the code worked for them. Everyone, the code is working for them. You can try this code too. And then this is my website. For whoever's having issues, you can just go to my website, or email me and I can help you troubleshoot or answer any questions that you have. This is also a different code for if you want just a discovery call with me, or you feel that you have certain clients that would be a good fit for nervous system health with me. This is a free consultation.
This is great.
Up, and then I will maybe put right here. It's my website. I put it in the chat. That's also my handle for Instagram. So you can reach out to me there too, if anyone's having issues, but otherwise.
Great
Thanks,
job.
everyone.
Thank you so much, community, everybody, for joining and making space in their day. Primal Health community, it's just such a great place to have connection and be supportive of one another as we're sharing our passion for health and well-being in the world. So have a beautiful day, everybody, and we'll see you again next time. Aloha.
Hi, everyone.